Why you should never buy pre-cut fruit. You know those neat little fruit cups you grab on your way out of the grocery store? The colorful sliced melons, pineapples, and grapes? What if I told you they could be secretly sabotaging your health, your wallet, and even your lifespan? Don't believe me? Stick around, because what you're about to learn might just change how you shop forever. Hi everyone, welcome back to Prolong Your Life, where we dive into life-changing tips, nutrition truths, and wellness wisdom to help you live longer, healthier, and smarter. Now, I want you to pause for a second and think of the last time you grabbed pre-cut fruit from a store. Maybe you were in a rush, trying to eat healthy on the go. We've all done it, right? But here's the truth that most people don't realize. Behind the plastic packaging lies a ticking time bomb of reduced nutrients, higher costs, and potential health hazards. In today's video, we're uncovering 5 powerful reasons why you should never buy pre-cut fruit again. And I'll even share a personal story of a friend who got seriously sick from a store-bought fruit cup. Be sure to comment where you're watching from. We love seeing our community from around the world. And while you're here, hit like, share this video with someone who needs to see it, and subscribe to Prolong Your Life for more content that truly matters. Let's dive right in. The convenience trap. In today's fast-paced world, convenience has become the new currency. We're constantly racing against time, juggling work, family, social commitments, and self-care. So, when we see those pre-cut fruit packs sitting pretty on the grocery shelf, it feels like a blessing. They promise ease, speed, and the illusion of a healthy, time-saving choice. But behind that glossy plastic lid lies a hidden truth. You're trading your health and hard-earned money for a shortcut that simply isn't worth it. Take a moment to imagine this scenario. It's Monday morning. You've got 5 minutes to get to work, your stomach is growling, and there it is, that ready-to-go container of pineapple and melon slices, practically glowing under the fridge light at your local supermarket. You grab it, swipe your card, and head out thinking you've made a smart, healthy decision. But what if that choice comes at the expense of long-term well-being? Let me share a true story that'll make you think twice. Jenna, a 34-year-old school teacher from Atlanta, used to rely on pre-cut fruit for her daily energy boost. Teaching young children left her with barely any time to herself, and chopping up apples or melons just felt like too much of a chore. Every morning, she'd pick up a fruit cup from the grocery store near her school. It was quick, easy, and seemingly nutritious. That is, until one day when Jenna ate a pre-cut cantaloupe that tasted a bit off. She ignored the odd texture and carried on with her day. Within hours, she was doubled over in pain. A hospital visit later, the diagnosis was listeria infection, linked to contaminated pre-cut fruit. Jenna's story isn't an isolated case. According to a report by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, multiple outbreaks of listeria, salmonella, and E. coli have been traced back to pre-cut fruits sold at major grocery chains. Once a fruit is sliced open, it becomes an open invitation for bacteria to multiply. And the more people who handle it during cutting, packaging, shipping, and shelving, the higher the chance of contamination. No matter how pretty it looks behind that plastic wrap, pre-cut fruit is a risky gamble. But why does this happen? It's all in the exposure. Whole fruits have natural protective barriers, their skins. Once that barrier is broken, oxygen, light, and moisture begin to work against the fruit. Not only do these elements degrade the nutritional content, but they also create the perfect breeding ground for bacteria. And even if these fruits are refrigerated, certain pathogens like Listeria monocytogenes can continue to grow at cold temperatures. That's right, your fridge can't even protect you. So while it might feel like pre-cut fruit is saving you time, it's actually opening the door to possible illness, higher costs, and nutritional loss. In the long run, convenience might come at the cost of the very thing you were trying to protect, your health. The price shock. Let's shift gears for a moment and talk about something every household is concerned with: money. We're all trying to save, stretch our dollars, and make smarter financial choices. But here's the ironic twist. That little plastic box of chopped mango or diced melon is probably draining your wallet more than you realize. If you ever needed a reason to skip pre-cut fruit, this one hits closest to home. The markup on pre-cut produce is outrageous, and I mean daylight robbery. In fact, a 2018 pricing analysis found that customers could save an average of $100 a month by buying whole fruits and cutting them at home. Over the course of a year, that adds up to $200, enough for a vacation, emergency savings, or even a year's worth of a gym membership. The illusion that you're paying for convenience has been masterfully marketed by grocery chains. But the truth is, you're just paying for a few minutes of someone else's labor, and at a premium rate. Here's a jaw-dropping example. At a popular retail chain, a whole red onion costs about 49 cents per pound. Now take a look at their pre-diced onions, sold in small plastic containers at $4 per pound. That's an 800% increase in price for the exact same vegetable, just chopped. And this trend carries across the board. A whole pineapple might retail for $2.98, while its pre-sliced version in a plastic tub sells for nearly $7, often for less volume than the whole fruit. That's not convenience, that's exploitation. But it doesn't end with just price tags. There's a bigger psychological game at play here. Many consumers assume that paying more means they're getting more, maybe even healthier, safer, or better quality fruit. But the opposite is true. The higher cost often comes with lower quality, reduced shelf life, and diminished freshness. You're essentially paying more to get less. And when you end up throwing out mushy, tasteless fruit 2 days later, that money goes straight into the bin. Let's think long term. If you buy pre-cut fruit every day on your lunch break at $5 a pop, you're spending about $25 a week or $100 a month just on fruit. Compare that to buying a week's worth of whole bananas, apples, and oranges, which might cost you $10 to $15. You're looking at a nearly 85% difference in cost, simply by choosing to cut it yourself. So the next time you're tempted to reach for that fruit cup, ask yourself, am I really saving time, or am I just paying more for less? Trust me, your future self, your health, and your wallet will thank you for making the switch back to whole fruits. And while you're thinking about that, go ahead and hit the like button if you're finding this helpful so far. It helps us reach more people who need to hear this. And don't forget to subscribe to Prolong Your Life. We've got more insightful, science-backed health content coming your way every week. Nutritional loss. Let's get into one of the most misleading aspects of pre-cut fruit, its nutritional value. Most people believe that just because a fruit has been cut and packed nicely, it still retains all its vitamins, minerals, and natural goodness. After all, fruit is fruit, right? Unfortunately, that's a dangerous assumption. When fruits are sliced, they lose their natural protective layers, the skin or peel that shields their inner flesh from environmental exposure. Once exposed to oxygen, light, and heat, something called oxidative degradation begins almost immediately. According to registered dietitian Caroline West Passarello, this exposure triggers the breakdown of key nutrients, especially water-soluble vitamins like vitamin C and B-complex vitamins. These are the very nutrients your body needs daily to support immunity, energy levels, and cell repair. But when exposed to the air, they begin to evaporate silently. Let me share a story to bring this to life. My neighbor Dan, a software engineer who switched to a healthy lifestyle, decided to start eating more fruit. Busy with meetings and project deadlines, he opted for the grab-and-go pre-cut fruit packs from a popular organic store. After weeks of eating fruit cups daily, Dan was frustrated. He still felt sluggish and noticed that his skin wasn't improving like he'd hoped. When I asked about the source of his fruit, I gently suggested switching to whole fruits. Within 10 days of eating freshly cut fruits at home, Dan felt a noticeable energy boost. His morning fatigue vanished, and he even lost some bloating. Coincidence? Not really. You see, vitamin C starts to degrade within just 6 hours of being exposed to air. In fact, one study published in the Journal of Food Science revealed that sliced strawberries and kiwis lost up to 40% of their vitamin C content after being stored for just 1 day in refrigerated conditions. Multiply that loss by the days these fruits sit in transit, on shelves, and in your fridge. And suddenly, your healthy fruit cup is nothing more than sweet-tasting sugar water with fiber. Even more concerning is the false confidence it gives people. Many think they're eating well, but in reality, they're missing out on the potent nutrients their body is crying out for. And without those essential vitamins, you're more susceptible to fatigue, poor skin health, weak immunity, and sluggish metabolism. So next time you consider that container of pre-cut mango or papaya, ask yourself, do I want the idea of nutrition or the real thing? If you're here to live longer, live stronger, and prolong your life, then fresh is the only way to go. And hey, if this info is making you rethink your habits, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps others find us. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more weekly truth bombs like this one. Health risks and bacteria. Now, let's talk about something a lot more serious, your health and safety. I want you to pay close attention to this section because this could literally save you or someone you love from a hospital visit, or worse. We often associate fruit with purity and health, and rightly so. But once that fruit is sliced in a facility, touched by multiple hands, packed in plastic, and stored in inconsistent temperatures, it becomes a breeding ground for bacteria. This isn't fear-mongering. It's biological fact. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, there have been numerous outbreaks of Salmonella, Listeria monocytogenes, and E. coli, all linked to pre-cut fruit and vegetables. One major outbreak in 2018 resulted in a massive recall of pre-cut melons across multiple U.S. states, sending dozens of people to the hospital. Another in 2019 traced a Salmonella outbreak to sliced papaya. These fruits were packaged, sealed, refrigerated, and still dangerous. But how does this happen? According to Dr. Keith Warrener, a food science professor at the University of Guelph, pathogens like Salmonella can double every 30 minutes once they get into the moist, sugary environment of cut fruit. These bacteria are often transferred from the fruit's outer skin during the slicing process, especially if the knives or surfaces aren't properly sanitized. And once inside the fruit flesh, the bacteria are harder to detect and almost impossible to remove without cooking, which obviously you can't do with fruit. Let me paint a vivid picture. In 2020, a daycare in Illinois experienced a devastating E. coli outbreak. Several children began vomiting and running high fevers after eating pre-cut apple slices that were supplied in bulk. What was meant to be a healthy snack ended in 5 hospitalizations. Can you imagine trusting a product to nourish your child, only for it to send them to the ICU? And don't be fooled by the idea that refrigeration makes it all safe. Listeria is a cold-tolerant bacteria, which means it can continue growing even in your fridge. So while you think you're playing it safe, you could be unknowingly serving up a side of germs. If you've ever experienced nausea, stomach pain, or food poisoning after eating fruit, think back. Was it pre-cut? Share your story in the comments below. You might help someone avoid the same mistake. Bottom line? Freshly cut fruit at home, washed thoroughly and sliced in a clean environment, is always the safer choice. If you're finding this helpful, please hit the like button and help us keep spreading real, unfiltered wellness advice. Don't forget to subscribe to prolong your life so you never miss these life-changing tips. Faster spoilage. Let's talk spoilage, and how pre-cut fruit is basically racing toward the trash can from the moment it's sliced. You ever buy a fruit cup and 2 days later, it looks like a soggy science experiment? You're not alone. It's not just bad luck, it's biochemistry. When fruit is cut, its internal cells are damaged. This triggers a biological process called respiration, where the fruit begins breaking down its sugars and releasing carbon dioxide and water vapor. The rate of respiration skyrockets once fruit is cut because it's now working overtime to heal itself. But here's the catch. Fruit can't regenerate, so it starts deteriorating fast. The result? A mushy, watery mess that no longer tastes good, feels slimy, and often smells fermented. This is especially true for fruits like melons, pineapples, strawberries, and mangoes. Once cut, they lose firmness and begin to oxidize, turning brown, soggy, and less appealing. And that's assuming it hasn't spoiled altogether. Scientific insight. A study published in Food Research International showed that pre-cut fruit stored even at 4 degrees Celsius refrigerator temperature experienced significant texture and flavor degradation within 48 hours. By day 3, most had lost over 50% of their freshness indicators. So unless you plan to eat it immediately, you're wasting your money and risking your taste buds. Here's a relatable story. A friend of mine once bought a large pre-cut fruit platter for a family picnic. It looked beautiful in the store, vibrant colors, perfectly arranged. But by the time they reached the park just an hour later, the watermelon cubes were mushy, the pineapple was translucent, and the strawberries smelled sour. They had to throw it all away. $30 straight into the trash. Heartbreaking, right? This is why whole fruit is always the better option. Whole fruit lasts longer because the skin protects it. An uncut watermelon can stay fresh for up to 10 days in the fridge. Cut it, and that window shrinks to 2 to 3 days max, and even less if it's exposed to air or heat. So if you're tired of wasting money on food you can't finish, and you're looking for a smarter way to shop, go back to basics. Buy whole fruits, store them properly. Cut them only when you're ready to eat. That's how you prolong shelf life and your health. And if you've ever had to toss out a pack of soggy, disappointing pre-cut fruit, drop it in the comments. Let's show the world we're making the switch together. The better alternative. So what's the solution? Go whole, go fresh, go smart. Invest in a cutting board, a good knife, and 10 minutes of your time. Let us know where you're watching from in the comments below. Share your thoughts or experiences. Have you ever had a bad pre-cut fruit experience? Please like, share, and subscribe to Prolong Your Life, your home for no-fluff health education. Together we can make smarter, stronger, longer living choices. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay healthy, stay whole.